In the previous video, I showed you how you can trigger a release pipeline manually, right? Because we had a build already in the artifacts folder. So I just manually triggered the release and we had it deployed on the cloud. In this one, I will show you end to end. So I will show you how it happens in the real-time scenario. Like when a developer pushes the code to the repository and then how continuous integration kicks in and then how continuous delivery picks the build and deploys it on the cloud. So we will see all these things kind of, a real-time scenario in this video. So I will click on edit here and then click on this lightning symbol. So it is basically to enable continuous deployment trigger. So when I enable it, it will create a release every time a new build is available, right? So it will automatically trigger it, and that is what we want here. So I will just enable it and save it and add a comment, enable CD in this case. Right, and then I will go to the pipeline. So this was the build pipeline I had, second app project repo 1. And just I will edit it and show that the trigger is master. So anything changes or any new check-in or push happens onto the master branch, our build pipeline will be triggered. And that was the idea as well. So I will go to my web app on Azure portal, right? And this was the web app we created in the previous video. When I browse to it, currently we just have a welcome here. And that is because we did deploy our application in our last video. So currently it just has welcome here, right? And we will edit the index HTML file and change something in here. And then the build should happen and the release pipeline should go and redeploy it. So that is what I will show you here. But just remember, currently we just have a welcome message here. What I will do is I will go to index HTML file and edit it and just add Manju here after welcome. So I will now have welcome Manju instead of just welcome. Then I will commit it, give a message and commit it to the master. So committing it to master should trigger our build pipeline. So if you go into your second app project repo 1, which was our build pipeline, you can see the blue mark. That means something has changed and it is trying to build the source code again. So if you click on this, if you go to our build pipeline, there is a job which is queued, and after a while it starts executing. So after a while, job executes, and you can see that there is VS build and publish build artifacts. So VS build basically builds our source code, and publish build artifacts just picks the build code and puts it into the drop folder, something like we saw in our previous video. So basically drop folder will have the zip file which will have the DLLs and all. Now if you found it interesting so far, it is going to get just more interesting now because you will now see the full power of automation. So what I will do now is I'll click on releases. And you should see a new release now, release 3 apparently. That's because when we pushed the changes from Azure Repos, it triggered our build pipeline. Build pipeline built the source code and put it into the artifacts folder. And when there is something in the artifacts folder, our release should be triggered. And that is why release 3 got triggered, and it is running on an agent now. So basically it will pick the code from the pick the build source code, right? The zip from the artifact folder, and it will deploy it into our Azure Web App, which was Manju Web App. So if we go back to after this release is successful, if we go back to our Manju Web App and browse it, right? You should see here, welcome Manju. Just refresh it. Yeah, and you see here, welcome Manju. Earlier it was just welcome. And like you have seen, we just edited the HTML file, checked in the changes, assumed the developer did that, and then that triggered the build pipeline. And when the build pipeline completed, it dropped it the build files into the zip folder named drop folder, which was artifacts, and that triggered the release pipeline, and that went ahead and deployed into our Azure Web App Cloud. So that is the whole process of continuous deployment, and that's it for this video. In the next video, I will just discuss a couple of other things. Hopefully, that will be helpful too. But this whole series completed the whole continuous integration, continuous deployment, Azure Repos, and all. Hope you guys found it very useful and helpful.